Hey, what's up? In this video, I wanted to show you Transgressor 2, which I have recently discovered and purchased, and I have found it to be a very, very good plugin for transient shaping, especially when it comes to drum sounds in the EDM genres. So let's check it out. I have a few kicks here that I'm working with that I wanted to show you Transgressor on, particularly because they either lack in a big boomy tail, if it tapers off like this, or the transient portion of the kick is not as loud as the rest of the kick. Transgressor, I've found, is very good for that. More so even than Isotope's Neutron transient shaper, which previously was my go-to transient shaping plugin, but this one just totally lays it to waste. So I'm going to open up Duck, which is a sidechaining plugin. My favorite one, in fact, but I also love it because it has a really fantastic spectrogram or oscillo, whatever the fuck they're called. Yeah, the waveform that shows up here when I hit the kick drum. Yeah, that's great. It's great. So I'm using this instead of Transgressor's little waveform thing because for some reason Transgressor doesn't give you the whole picture, and I haven't figured out yet how to zoom it out, if that's even possible. It's like, where's the rest of the kick? I don't know. So we're going to use Duck for that purpose, just so we can see what's going on with the bass, the sub tail of the kick. I'm going to turn it off in Transgressor. Transgressor is cool because it lets you like shape the EQ of both the transient and the sustain, the tail portion of a drum. So if you want for whatever reason you want the click of a kick drum to only be happening, or to like extend but not affect the beginning transient of the click, like in the event maybe you have white noise or something, then if you wanted to boost the sustain of that noise, you would just go like this without affecting the transient portion of that white noise, which would sound more like this. Oops, need to actually turn it on. See the difference? Anyway, I don't care about that because I don't ever really find that useful for the most part. But what I'm going to be focusing on in this video is fixing up a couple instances of kick drums not being perfect. So I'm actually going to lower the volume of going into this thing just a bit for Duck so that we get a smaller waveform here to work with. Okay, so as we look at it, we can see that the tail of the kick tapers off like this. What if we want this, portion to be a bit more boomy as it goes? So the way we would do that with Transgressor is I'll let it play, and I'll turn off the transient portion. So we are completely losing the transient here. And we can go and adjust the hold, so this will make it so the transient portion of the detector lasts for a certain amount of time. And you can see as I'm dragging it up, we're losing part of the beginning here. If I turn it back on, it's still there. Nothing's actually changed. If I turn the sustain off, see, and if we go back and move the hold back, it changes how much of the signal is considered to be the transient. So I'm going to turn it off again, turn on the sustain, and I'm going to move the hold just so that we get to a point where we're right about here where the volume starts to taper off. So that's all we have left. So I'm going to do that. Okay, that's great. And I'm going to dial back the release time a bit. Okay, that should be good. Yeah. So now I'm going to turn the transient port back on. Again, nothing has changed. And if I go and I take a utility and I invert the phase, I do this to test and see with plugins like this. It's important to me whether or not they're actually affecting the signal just by being on. And they are not. It completely nulls. So that's good. So what we would do from here is just bump up the sustain with this gain knob right here. And you can see that as we do that, we're getting a bit of increase to the tail signal. Of course, we have this weird spike right here. So what we do to remedy that is to bump up the release a bit. Yeah, we'll bring it back down a bit. We push the release just a bit, adjust the hold a little bit, pull back the release, just dialing it in here. And I could take forever tweaking this if I wanted to, but right now what we've just done, if I turn it off, is made the kick quite a bit boomier. Yeah, isn't that great? I think it's awesome. We can also use it in a reverse fashion to change the attack of a kick drum, the transient portion. So if we have a kick drum, I'm going to set this back to default here. So let's say we've got a kick drum that doesn't have a huge transient attack here. It's kind of lacking a bit. All we'd have to do is do the opposite, turn off the sustain. So now we have only the transient, and that's probably good, but I'm going to bring down the release quite a bit here. And just bump up the hold a bit. To right there. Yeah, that's good. Turn the sustain back on, push up the gain on the transient part, and wow, look at that. We've got a nice attack portion of the transient. If I turn it off, awesome plugin. Finally, I'm going to show you another example with a different type of kick with a similar issue, and I will reset these values again. So we've got this kick here. Nice kind of side transy kick. Of course, we can see that there's like the beginning portion of it, it's kind of quieter than this part for whatever reason, and it kind of tapers off again. So what I'm going to do, we could run it in parallel or sequentially, 2 instances of it to do the attack and release like I showed you before. But I'm only going to focus on the attack portion, so let's just bump up this section right here. Okay, starts to change. Oop. Pull down the release a bit and bump that up a bit. Probably there is good. Turn back on sustain, and oh yes, that is a beautiful waveform. So yeah, awesome plugin. If you want your drums to snap or sustain, this is the best transient shaping plugin that I've ever found. The interface is not gorgeous, but it doesn't need to be because the way it affects the sound is, and that's what really matters. It is not cheap. It's regularly, I think, $150, but right now on pluginfox.co, I believe, it is available for $29 US, which is outrageous for a discount. And yes, the site is legit. I wanted to at first, and yeah, it's good. I bought it, and I'm very pleased. So if you want to get something like this that helps your EDM drums in whatever genre, this is the plugin to do it. Better than, here, I'll show you an example to compare with Neutron, just for kicks. Oh, see what I did there? Just for kicks. Oh, man. All right, so let me get the VST. Pull up Neutron instead of Transgressor. How would I do that with Neutron? Usually I just create the sub thing and bump up the sustain. But as you can see, it's, you know, oh, actually we want to do to this kick. We don't have a lot of control over where it starts affecting the signal. We have this, but it doesn't really change a whole lot. We have the loose, precise, and balanced, but again, the change is not that different, or not that, it's not that big of a difference between each one. So if I unsolo it, you can also hear it adds like a bit of distortion to the low end. And you may want that, but in my case, I don't, especially because in my situation right here, I just want this part on to be affected. I don't want this part to bump up in volume, like happens when I do this. And it doesn't matter how far up I pump this thing, it's always going to be affecting that part. So, yeah, Transgressor for the very huge win here. Pick it up. It's like $30. It's so cheap. And Boz Digital is a cool company, sends out funny emails. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful to you. If you want to bump those drums up, while you're at it, please bump the thumbs up button on this video. And if you feel so inclined, do subscribe for further EDM, trancey, whatever tutorial videos and stuff like that. And also good vibes. Blessings to you. Much love. Take care.